It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Let me say it the way it is. For at least one day, spring has sprung. I'm fired up. Got two really good friends coming on the show today. My buddy, former Memphis State basketball player turned color analyst Jon Albright, to talk about the Tigers. Big win yesterday against FAU, but there are storm clouds lurking in the background. And then one of my closest broadcasting friends, former Alabama play-by-play voice Eli Gold, the newest voice of the Nashville Cats, will join us at 3 o'clock, and I'll say what I have been saying about Eli's situation. Pathetic. University of Alabama ought to be ashamed. Greg Byrne, that's weak. So there.
Welcome
Got that
back.
out there. Yeah, welcome back. Let's get what's his name? Yeah. What is your name?
What is my name? I don't even know. Couldn't tell you.
You know, that's a bad sign. If you can't
It is.
tell them what your name is, they're probably going to put you in a home.
I like this.
You
Get
like
him out.
that? Get him out.
Yeah, he's out. Get
Yeah.
him out. He's gone.
So what did you do this weekend?
My son actually came home this weekend. My daughter's
Nice.
senior day at Lipscomb was the other day, and we didn't realize that he was going to try to come home. He had a friend that brought him, well, it wasn't halfway, but it was close to halfway. So we had to go pick him up in Birmingham and then brought him home, and he got to see my daughters, and we went to Jalen's game. Of course, she didn't play, obviously, but
Yeah.
she is coming back. They're going to give her a medical redshirt year, which is a good thing, and I think she's excited about that. But she wanted to.
That's awesome.
She
Congrats.
she wanted to go out with the other girl that she came in with the other day. So it was a big win for them and a big day for her.
That's pretty cool. In fact,
Yeah,
that's very
absolutely.
cool. That's
Yep.
very cool. That's awesome to hear. So, Kelly, have you opened your door and heard a roar outside?
I have not. I've heard a lot of wind, and I hear my things rustling around in my house because my wife's got all the windows open, which is kind of crazy at the end of February. It's this warm, but no, I haven't heard the roar. What is it?
The crowd is cheering. You ready?
Yeah.
5-game road trip for the Preds. At St. Louis, win. At Vegas, win. At LA Kings, feel free to jump in and win. Win. At San Jose,
Win.
at Anaheim.
I mean, did they win all 5 of them?
For the first time in franchise history, they have swept a 5-game road trip. Now, Kelly, as you know,
That's big.
excuse me, got a Dorito stuck there. So, as you know, I've been a little critical about a week and a half ago in what was going on because it was obvious that something was going on. Barry Trotz found out that they were a little too excited about a U2 concert in Vegas, and he smashed that idea. Shame on Roman Yossi, who's the captain. Okay, that's what he's supposed to do, is put a stop to that kind of crap. But I'll say this. Once Barry Trotz rammed it up there, you know what? man, did they respond.
They have responded. That was a huge move too. How do you know that Roman wasn't going? So that's probably why he didn't want to say anything,
No, what I'm
George.
saying is he's the
I know what you're
captain.
saying. I get it.
Okay.
Yes, I totally get that.
And it was very clear in the 2 games before this explosion. They lose at home to New Jersey 4-2 in a game that could have been 9-2, except UC was out of his mind. Then they do lose 9-2 to Dallas in a game that I smartly left after 2 periods, muttering some obscenities. Gut feeling is so was Barry. I'm guessing you could have fried an omelet on his head when he got down there to either Andrew Burnett and or Roman Yossi and discovered that he had a team that was a lot more interested in a U2 concert than they were playing NHL hockey. Now, where Andrew Burnett fits into this, I don't know. But that's a captain's job. That's why you have the C on the sweater, is to handle this kind of stuff. Shouldn't have ever gotten to the GM. But as I said, kudos to them. Once he rammed it down there, you know what? Man, did they respond.
Yeah, that's huge, man. How many points have they gained? So they got 10 points, obviously.
Got 10 points on the road trip. They are now in the 8th and final wild card spot, the 8th place spot by themselves. St. Louis is now 4 points back, having played 2 less games, and then everybody else is a little bit behind that. Now, there's still 23 games left in the season.
Yeah.
Crunch time. We are now in a pennant race.
Okay.
That.
All right. Do you think they're going to move up a little bit, George?
Be hard to go much past the 8th. They could
Really?
get to 7 and beat out the LA Kings, but it's going to be hard to do. 8 looks like where it's going. And this year, to me, 8 as a season ticket holder would be a big victory.
Wow. Okay.
It'll allow me to go nuts at a playoff game.
Do you go nuts, George? How do you act up there?
During a playoff game, I do.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Are you yelling? Are you up?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you do?
I do a lot of stuff.
George,
I took a shirt a couple of times and did this,
Not your shirt off. Not your shirt off.
No.
Okay.
We're not. No.
Okay.
No, that would be an obscenity that would get you thrown out. Thank you for asking. Billy, do you have an update for us?
I do.
You're just going to sit there.
You stole all my Preds glory there.
Okay.
Good. You basically said everything I had down in my notes.
I should have.
Good for you.
He tends to do that, Billy. You said I'm saying now he's gonna hold you to that for months now.
Yeah,
apparently.
But there are other stories.
They've got the Senators tomorrow night. 5 straight home games coming up for the Preds. So
listen, they may sleepwalk. In all honesty, I mean, they got home, I'm guessing, I don't know this, but if they flew out last night, they would have gotten in here about 5 in the morning. And can you say zombie?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the challenge now for the Preds, George, is can they keep this going? Obviously, that was on the road.
Who knows? I never saw this.
You think they go home and feel more comfortable, but it's weird. They lose 9-2 to the Stars, and you think all is lost. I mean,
I did.
We were saying, this season's done. They're not making the playoffs, and all of a sudden they switch everything.
You show me a person that thought they would sweep this road trip, and I'll show you a liar.
Yeah, and I think there's still some people that are kind of in prove it mode. You got the 8th spot. Let's see if you can.
We all
keep
are
it going.
kind of.
Yeah. Let's see. Prove it mode is not how Tennessee fans are on the basketball side of things. They're up to number 4 in the AP poll after destroying Texas A&M. They're now tied for first place in the SEC with Alabama. That was old Rick Barnes' 800th win of his career.
Wow, congratulations.
Yep.
That is quite an achievement.
Dalton Connect, 24 points. Jonas Adu had a double-double. Zakai Ziegler was everywhere. Kelly, I told George before we got on, when Tennessee is on, they're on, and it's like nobody
They're
can beat them.
good. They're good, man. They are good, but no, it's hard to maintain that focus for and you got to do it in the NCAA tournament, man. But it's just
Yeah.
hard to do it over a period of a season, man.
Now, under the category of can anybody beat them? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The UConns and the Purdues, to me, maybe have gone a little past the rest of the field. I know Taylor's going to tell me Houston, but I think it's UConn, a little bit below that Purdue, but this kid, Zach Edey, nobody can guard him.
No,
he's huge.
Oh.
And they had to kind of grind one out yesterday against Michigan.
At Michigan in front of a Purdue crowd.
That was a lot of Purdue fans.
It had a little
Wow.
Tennessee Vandy to it.
Yes, it did. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Juwan Howard. Yeah, Houston's up to number 1 right now. Tennessee at number 4. Let's see, SEC teams that kind of moved up. Auburn moved up after they throttled Georgia. And then Alabama, they moved down 1 after their loss. They got throttled at Kentucky. And there's some weird teams in the SEC. How good is Kentucky? I mean, you never know what the crap you're going to get.
Here's the thing. On certain days, man, they are a world beater. The problem is you never know when that's coming.
Mm-hmm. Same sort of thing with Alabama. I mean, you're putting up 117 points. It's hard to have a good defense when you're scoring as much as they are.
117 in a 40-minute game is a lot.
Yeah. But back to Tennessee, they've got a big 4-game gauntlet coming up. They've got Auburn on Wednesday night in Knoxville. They travel to Tuscaloosa on Saturday. College game day will be there. They'll be raring and ready to go. And then at South Carolina, and then they host Kentucky to end the season. So, I mean, I'll be interested to see what Tony says.
Okay, go through that again. Auburn at home.
Yep.
Bruce Pearl returns.
Mm-hmm.
He's returned before.
Yep. And there was some controversy last year, if you remember.
Yes. Keep going.
At Alabama on Saturday.
Tough.
At South Carolina.
Tough.
And then Kentucky at home.
Blowout.
Yet Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
They're just – but that's the thing. Kelly said –
Who knows? I mean, look, when I say
knows?
that, who knows? I mean, I do know this, that when Kentucky turns it on and gets to their A game, they're scary.
Yeah.
But they don't play their A game all that often.
No, they don't. Elsewhere, locally, Vandy got throttled at Florida, 77-64.
Imagine that.
Nothing
there's
new
a
there.
big shock.
Yep, this just in. Belmont and Lipscomb got a couple of big wins. Belmont beat Missouri State 93-78, and Lipscomb won at Austin Peay, a pretty good Austin Peay team, 90-85. So Belmont, Lipscomb, great coaches have their teams playing pretty well right now at the right time.
In theory,
you still got that conference tournament coming up. All right, let's get to the NFL. The Bengals, much to the chagrin of Titans fans, have placed the franchise tag on T. Higgins.
no surprise.
No.
Did y'all see how much? Did you see how much the franchise tag is? It's $21.8 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Don't feel sorry for him on the franchise tag.
Was it 21 in your day, Kelly, for receivers?
No, I mean this stuff is
Like
astronomical now. I don't remember how much. I don't even know if it was that, Billy. Of course, that's been a long time ago, man. I've been out of the league for 17 years now, so
that's true.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and George is giving me all the gray hair.
You were starting to get it before you ever came to me.
Well, George, we've got more collusion with the running backs. Apparently, the franchise tags are unlikely for Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. And I don't know if we're going to get any franchise tags for running backs this season. Obviously, Derrick Henry won't get one. Tony Pollard in Dallas, Austin Eckler. We've got more collusion.
How can the Giants, as bad as they are,
not tag Barkley?
Ignore the fact that he is it.
They screwed up paying Daniel Jones as much as they did.
Yeah. Okay, 2 other notes. Peter King announced his retirement today from the world of pro football writing. He's as good as there is.
Yeah, he's going to have a final Monday morning quarterback, I think, next week, maybe, or might be today, with taking viewers' questions.
And UMass is joining the MAC.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
I
In
haven't
all
heard that.
sports.
Wow.
Yeah.
What conference were they in?
UMass?
Yeah.
The Canadian Football League. I don't honestly know.
Or were they
They were
independent?
with They were
I don't-
EU. They were
I
with
don't
the
really
EU.
know.
The European Union. Real quick here, George, too, over the weekend, Eric Bieniemy, former Chiefs and Commanders offensive coordinator, has been hired by UCLA to be their OC, which I thought was an interesting move.
That is
Former
an
running back
interesting
coach.
move.
Yeah, former running back coach with the Minnesota Vikings when I was there, and every day I've told y'all this. Him and Adrian Peterson battled every day.
Yeah,
It was
played
it
at
character,
Colorado.
man. Like they just battled every day, like almost fist fights, man.
Wow.
He's a big guy too.
Who,
Not very
Adrian?
tall, but I mean, no, Eric.
He ain't no big guy.
No, but he's
short.
But
He's
He's chunky.
You know, I
is.
don't know if I'd want to
Got a
fight
little
him.
bowling ball.
But if I was AP,
He does, and he's very aggressive. He's not scared to mix it up, dude. He is not.
that's all I got.
Okay, after the break, we're headed down to Memphis, where it has been a very interesting week in Tiger basketball. Big win over FAU, a lot of stuff off the court. Honk if you've ever heard that before. My buddy Jon Albright will join us after the break. Stay tuned. We got plenty more coming.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615 256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House for all your personalization and recognition needs. I remember that song. Kelly, for the record, there are only 3 people who remember that I was ever at Memphis State. Jon Albright's one of them.
So he had to deal with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
we were really
gosh.
good friends. Good Lord. That year, man, if I hadn't had his friendship, him and a couple of other people, would not have been.
Did you drive down Georgia all the time?
I drove back a lot.
Wow. Wow.
So here he is.
George, I am
Jon-
so impressed with your technology. Wow. There's only one person that's worse at technology than me. It's you, and you're ahead of me now with this setup. Unbelievable.
Oh, listen.
I'm worse.
Kelly, that's not true. So tell people about what happened last Wednesday night at the FedEx Forum.
Memphis defeated Charlotte. So the up and down season worked out pretty well for Memphis this time. Tigers have been from number 10 in the country, 15 to 2.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I retired.
I care less about that.
I beat them to the punch, and I finally said that was my last game to broadcast. Yes, I got your inference. I was trying to outrun you there.
So Jon has been Memphis's, before that Memphis State's, television color analyst for close to 30 years. So what did they do?
They surprised me. First of all, my twin granddaughters showed up, so I should have had an inkling there, and then they let me stand up, and they were nice to me and said goodbye. So it was nice. It's been a good run. I've enjoyed it. Got to go a lot of places on somebody else's nickel. It was a lot of fun through the years. I got this job as a sophomore. They told me that playing time was not going to work out for me, so maybe I need to start looking at another vocation early. I fought him on that, but 2 more years, and finally I got into broadcasting right after I got out.
Yeah. So seriously, what's the greatest moment you've experienced in all those years?
Well, it was fun. Not being a good player, I had really good teammates. And back in 1985, you couldn't beg, borrow, or steal a ticket. So we had all these great people on this television package. So out of 6 candidates, I was the 8th choice. I'm not exactly sure how I got into it, but never wanting to coach, it was just a lot of fun. I got to go a lot of places. That led to other things. I mean, I did the WAC for 3 years out of Memphis, midnight in the WAC. So if you weren't sleeping well, I put you to sleep. But it was a nice association, the coaches, the players. For somebody that's not from Memphis really has treated me well. And I just wanted to get out before people get tired of you. That happens. So it's been a good run. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
So, Kelly, I actually stayed up till 11 o'clock for the first game he ever did on ESPN when he was doing the WAC. And I don't think it was a big audience, but I want it to be known.
Double digit. I think it was double digit at the time. That's what they told me later on. It was late. It was late.
Okay, so let's talk the here and now. Big win yesterday over FAU. First of all, what do you think that does to their tournament chances?
Nothing. I still think they've got to win the American Athletic postseason. They just dropped too many games from being 15-2, number 10 in the country, in January, to just inexplicable, losses. I think it really still puts pressure on them. I guess if you run the table and you beat Florida Atlantic both times, and maybe you get some help, but I think really you really have to count on being the automatic qualifier and winning the postseason conference tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so you can see all these pictures of Penny Hardaway. I'll never forget, John, our friend John Wilfong took me that year one night to see a sophomore named Anthony Hardaway, and unbelievable. So now he's this Memphis legend. People begged him to take this job, and now there's some grumbling going on. How hard is that?
I think it has been hard. Penny, he's been beloved by Memphis University of Memphis enthusiasm. Folks, the whole time he's been here, and this year, because they got so high and played so well. Now, granted, some of the early non-conference wins against marquee names, but maybe not having marquee seasons. So again, some of those wins probably weren't as wonderful as most of us thought at the time, based on what some of those programs had done previously. But nonetheless, you're still 15-2. You're number 10 in the country. You like where you're sitting. Then all of a sudden, inexplicable. I mean, losses 4 in a row, including to Rice. Nothing against Rice. I did that game. They deserved to win that night. They absolutely outplayed Memphis. So the free fall was just so unexpected, and it's been puzzling. And again, some consistent problems with the defense that didn't seem to get fixed. But this week, a very good week. Good win over Charlotte, and then a very tough battle yesterday with Malcolm Dandridge, being held out. So a good win. Who knows how long it could be sustained? But once again, another off-court situation you have to deal with.
Let's go back to Penny for a minute. Jon, you know a different side of him than I do. I just simply see him on game night. You see him in practice settings, that kind of thing. What kind of coach is he? What's his style?
Behind the scenes, he in practice, he's very intense. It's not the cool hand Luke that everybody sees during the game. Quiet, stand off to the side. In practice, he's very intense. And for an offensive-minded professional player, if everybody remembers Penny, aside from the commercials, he and Shaq in Orlando made it to an NBA final. He was an offensive, star. But he preaches defense. And if you can't play defense, you're going to have a hard time playing a lot for him. But unfortunately, one of the problems has been their defensive play. That's caused them some problems. But, in the game, he's pretty relaxed. He's quieter than maybe some people would like to see. Every once in a while, you like to see some emotion, particularly at the college game where emotion is every bit a part of it. And, when the four-game losing streak, it just some of the games were inexplicable. They got it righted a little bit, and then had just a debacle last week. At North Texas State, or the week before at North Texas State, and then SMU, a game where quite candidly, they quit in the second half. And you guys know, Kelly, particularly you playing, professional and everything, you can't quit. You got to keep going. Sometimes execution isn't what you want, but as players, you can never concede and just stop and quit. And unfortunately, that happened at SMU. So unexpected what might happen this week. But he's taken some hits from some people, no doubt. Still, most people are still behind him, but there's been some questions about coaching and so forth. And I don't think he's ever had to face that during his Memphis tenure.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring Kelly up real quick. Kelly, how many years did you play in the National Football League?
13.
Oh, good Lord. His brother has you beat by 5 years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Different position, though, Kelly. Different position. He was a long snapper. He played on the wrong side of the Music City Miracle. So does not like the state of Tennessee at all.
Oh, so he played in Buffalo, too. I played in Buffalo as well.
He did.
Ethan Albright.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But Buffalo is a great place to live. The winters suck. It's really snowy there at times. This year it hadn't been bad, but yeah, it's a long snapper, huh?
Very enthusiastic fan base, I might add. Very vocal.
Absolutely.
They drink a lot.
Well, you have
do.
to. That's antifreeze. You got to be ready for the game.
And they're not scared to cook things on the front of their cars. The Bills Mafia.
Come in. Yes, you're exactly right. Some of which we can't get into on this show.
Okay,
absolutely, man.
Kelly, I left a lot of meat on the bone. I want to see if the journalistic instincts here take over.
Here we go.
And here we go.
Well, I just want, and I've said this over the show before, but how hard is it for a guy that goes back to his school that he graduated from? I just think that is a hard job, and I would love to do it. But everybody used to talk to me, and they used to say, well, hey, when Peyton was retiring, he needs to come back and coach the Titans, or he needs to come back and coach the Vols. And I'm like, are you crazy? He's already a legend at his school, or he's already a legend in the state of Tennessee. Why would he do that? Because all he can do is fail. And then that's what you see. Like Penny's done really well down there, but and you don't want to see crumble. But how hard of a job is that to go back to your alma mater And it's like a no-win situation. Like if you do great, that's great. But if you start doing bad, then they kind of forget about your playing days, and it's all about your coaching deal. So it's kind of a hard situation.
Kelly, you're exactly right. I think that's why the Cubs, Ryan Sandberg years ago, they never, worked that out. He ended up being the manager for the Phillies. But, athletic departments always talk about what's going to happen with the legend when you got to fire him. They don't talk about, enjoying the 5, 6, 7 year, 10-year run, but it is a huge challenge. You played professional ball. Penny played professional ball. You know what it takes to make it and play at that level. And you have to be incredibly dedicated to your craft. And I think that's hard sometimes with the challenges in today's world with the transfer and the NIL, all the things that go on that, get in the way of that. But it is a danger. It's really a danger when you hire a legend, and if things don't go exactly the way that you want, or you got to make a change, it's tough. And it leaves a lot of people embittered if that actually happens. And you're right. You're expected to do well. If you don't do well, you underdeliver. And that's the challenge that you got to face. But Penny, it's all been always about trying to bring back a big time winner to the city. That's been his MO since he got the job.
Well, usually, John, when you talk about like a skid that they had and losing some of those games, you're going to lose some of those games in basketball. But like, is there anything going on in the locker room? Like, and with this new age of college athletics, with the NIL, you just talked about it, and the transfer portal, like if somebody gets upset, they're like, I'm getting in the transfer portal. I'm not going to compete for anything. And are you hearing anything that's going on in the locker room?
Yeah, I think there's probably some of that. Again, you got to realize that, they had, 11 new faces this year, transfers, two freshmen. So you got 13 new players that show up. I don't care what kind of coach you are. That is tough to harness that and put out a cohesive team. So that's a big challenge. Then you throw the inequity of the NIL situation, which there's no rules. What one can make versus another. So you've got some that are getting substantial amounts, and some that are getting none. So absolutely, that's got to create some problems, in the locker room. The old days, everybody was so poor. If there was folding money on the hall, everybody knew about it, and we all ended up in the same guy's room. So those were just not a problem, back in the day. And I do think now that the transfer portal is it's so difficult because everybody's always wanting to get to the pros. I understand that it's a life changer for so many, but nobody wants to be coached. I think one of the great things about teams that I was on was the upper class leadership. The upperclassmen were always talking to the younger guys, listen to the message, not the manner of delivery. As long as he's still talking to you, you're in the mix. Don't worry about how he delivers it. Just listen to what he's saying. Now you don't know who the leaders are, and I think that's been a problem for Memphis as well. I'm not sure exactly who the leaders are, but yes, there's probably been some problems in the locker room about the inequity. With the NIL and who's getting what and who's not.
Yeah. So now you're retiring on the TV, correct?
Just TV. My day job, real estate. I'm still very much in it. That's not going anywhere.
Well, give us a little bit. Be nostalgic right now. Give us a little bit of, your years on the TV, your years, some big moments, some situations in basketball games. What are your memories of some of those bigger moments?
Yeah, 9 months there. God.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to work with George. I apologize for that, but
we'll talk later. I'm sure we can compare notes.
Curtailing that.
Is anybody upset with him right now? There's always some kind of controversy going on. I didn't do my homework. I didn't know what the problems were right now, but. No, I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. All my family are ACC. My dad played on Duke's first ACC championship team, 1960. I got brothers that played baseball, 2 that played football, 1 for Spurrier and Mac Brown. So sports was a big thing, in our family. Coming to Memphis, Keith Lee showed up my sophomore year. All of a sudden, we've got a top 20 team. We're playing in Sweet 16s every year. Again, I've got nothing to do with it, but it's a pretty good ride. Television came along. Tim Brando was actually the first person I ever did games with here on the local package before he went Hollywood, and that's what his nickname was, self-proclaimed. We referred to him. George, I know you know Tim well.
Yeah.
They had this incredible package. So I made every mistake you could possibly make, but I had all these professionals from directors that kind of took me under their wings and guided me. So 3 years into it, I started doing ESPN work. I've done senior day at Indiana. with Bob Knight and all that. Traveled to Hawaii and just been a wonderful ride. For somebody who was not a really good player in college, I was very fortunate. Yeah, as you know, timing is the key. I happened to be at the right place. Timing wasn't good for me. His talent got really good. But as a result, it afforded the University of Memphis State at the time, to have a top-notch television, package. And as a result, I was able to work with all these people that knew what they were doing and were very patient for me. So I literally traveled from, Puerto Rico to Hawaii to all points in between, and just had a great ride with it. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm very privileged and fortunate to have been in that position for so many years.
Okay.
Well, how was your old deal with Bob Knight? How'd that go?
Bob did talk. It was funny. Tom Izzo, this is a funny story. Tom Izzo and Tom Crean, Bob kind of brushed me off, which was fine. That was okay. And this was Tom Izzo's first year in the league. So if you ever go to Bloomington back then, you stayed at the Holodome. That was your only choice, hotel-wise. Bloomington is a college town. So we're at practice, and Coach Izzo says, "Hey guys, we're just going to shoot pool and have beers and burgers, at the Holodome. Come sit down with us." And so that sounds great. So we're sitting there talking. He's giving everything we got. And I said, "Coach, I just want to appreciate the time and everything." He says, "John, it's my first year in the league. I can't afford to act like you know who yet." So I've always pulled for Coach Izzo, no matter what. But the one thing I did learn,
you know who.
Yeah, but there's some other words he used with that. So again, I'm trying to keep it PG
That's
rated.
awesome.
But one thing I did respect when you go to Bloomington and you talk to the ushers and you walk around Assembly Hall is if a former player comes in when Coach Knight was there, they are immediately ushered to some tickets by his bench. If you graduated and you did what you're supposed to, if you ever needed help with a job, all you had to do was call, and invariably he would make a phone call to whomever on your behalf to make sure that you had gainful employment. So I think it's one of those deals. Once you survived it, he was going to be in your corner from there on out. So like I said, he wasn't real helpful on the media standpoint, but it was a great experience. It was Brian Evans' senior day. So it was a lot of fun, getting to go there. Indiana was still pretty good at that time.
Hey, John, real quickly before we go, what can you tell us on the Malcolm Dandridge situation? And given the fact this is not Penny's first rodeo with the NCAA, how worried are people?
It's a concern because it really caught everybody kind of quiet. I guess I started getting texts, Friday night, and basically Memphis, the university didn't make an announcement until sometime late Saturday morning. And basically it was that they're going to hold him out due to eligibility issues. And what that has transpired, other people have reported, it's got to do with some academic issues and questions. Now, he's a graduate. So it's really not sure. There's a lot of rumors running around. It is concerning because, again, you'd like to get this resolved pretty quickly. And, again, this would be the third time that Coach Hardaway, although he's not mentioned any of this, I don't think he's involved in any of this, but it's under his watch. And they still are on probation. He served 3-game suspension to start the year. So it's not what you want, particularly this time of year with what's facing you, because Malcolm Dandridge has played his best basketball. This is the first year he's been eligible, this deep into the season. He's an important part, particularly with size-wise, and now his future is very uncertain. And they really don't have any feel. Penny talked about yesterday, he doesn't know what the time frame is. He didn't know if it'll be resolved, he'll play, or he's done. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and the longer uncertainty goes, the more rumors and the more questions that pile up. But right now, that's the only story, is just the eligibility is in question, and Memphis is self-investigating.
Okay, as we end this, you have a really presidential-looking backdrop there. I mean, you got nice cabinets, and is that at home?
No, this is at my office. But again,
Okay.
George, perception and reality. This is all the furniture that I have in the office. So I thought we'd put that in the same shot.
Okay, so I'm going to show you. We're at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, and
I've been there.
Billy, let's show him. Why can I not? Oh, I see why. Okay, so you can see the big old Predator, whatever there, and I guess that is a Predator. So anyway, this is where we do all this nonsense.
I like your setup. I like your setup, and
that's right. You've been here.
I have been there. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Come back.
I like the setup.
Get with the program, George. Let's go.
Thank you,
It's already
Kelly,
been there.
for your encouragement. You're being a pain in the butt. Jon, thank you.
Guys,
Thanks,
I enjoyed
Jon.
it. Best of luck.
See you, buddy.
Okay.
It's a good man right there. Jon Albright, former Memphis State basketball player turned television color analyst. We'll go to the break on that, and then we'll talk a little bit of Memphis, talk a little bit of court storming, you name it. We'll get into it next.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Kelly, in spite of all the jokes that I make about the fact only 3 people remember me, here was the thing I learned down there. In football, there were a lot of different fan bases. You know, big chunk of Tennessee, Alabama, a lot of Ole Miss, some Mississippi State. They didn't know where Vandy was.
Right.
In basketball, they all united under the Memphis State Tigers.
Yeah.
And that year, we were in the Metro Conference, which was Memphis State, Louisville, Cincinnati, South Carolina, Florida State, Southern Miss, Virginia Tech. Pretty good basketball league. And we played Louisville 3 different times. And you can only imagine those schools hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of a feeling in Memphis that Louisville got their act together better than Memphis State did. and thus Louisville's in the ACC, and
Mhm.
Memphis has been begging the Big 12 for years to take them in. And, you know, when this, wherever it is we're going, super conference, whatever,
Yeah.
I know the people in Memphis feel like they're being left kind of as roadkill.
I think that's a fair statement. Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know where you go from there, George. I mean, I don't know why the Big 12. I mean, all this, you never know what's going to happen with expansion. I mean, there's things already that, you know, the Pac 12 dissolving, we had no clue was going to happen. So there might still be a chance for Memphis to get in there. I don't know. I don't know what the holdup would be. Basketball wise, they should be, you know, comparable to those teams in the Big 12, but, you know, maybe football. I don't know. But it's just going to be interesting to see over the next couple of years where all this stuff goes with, you know, conference realignment, with NIL, with transfer portal, with all that. I'm not a big fan, but that's the world we live in right now.
In that city, Penny's not used to anything other than everybody kissing his rear end and telling him
Right.
how great he is. And all of a sudden, they've had a series of things this year, because I've watched several of them. A complete meltdown against South Florida, a meltdown against Rice. They go to SMU and just absolutely quit and get beat by about 40. And so really for the first time, he's facing some stuff that he's not used to.
Right.
And, you know, that's hard.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about with this landscape of college ball, whether it's basketball, football, anything. With all this transfer stuff, like John just said, I mean, they've got 13 new kids. Like, how can you lay the groundwork for your program when you've got all these new kids that are going to come in every year? And if they don't like what you're doing or they don't like how you're treating them, then they're going to be there for a year and then they're leaving. So I don't know, as a coach, George, I don't know how you coach in this day and age, man. It's going to be tough, especially when you get all these kids coming in that are not part of the footprint, you know, that you wanted in your. And Lane Kiffin said it last year in the SEC media days. Like, how am I supposed to cultivate a program and do all that I want to do and build it from the bottom up when I've got 24 new kids every year? I mean, that's just hard. I don't know how you do it. And like, it seems like it's probably starting to frustrate Penny a little bit. You know, and I don't know. I'm not expert on the situation down there, and I don't know. But like when you have the losses that they've had, something's going on, man. Something's happening. Something's going on. And if you're a coach, you have to head those off at the gap. You got to figure out that was one thing good about when I was in Cleveland, man. When we had a problem, the head coach would talk about it. Now, we didn't like him talk about it all that he talked about it, but I mean, he headed that off. And if you're going to be a good head coach, you got to be willing to talk about that kind of stuff and not sweep it under the rug.
Let me know if you guys agree. Is it harder for coaches to control their teams now?
Absolutely.
I asked that because, you know, Penny Hardaway had a pretty solid first. Is this his third year, George? First couple years.
I think it's even more than that.
Okay, fourth.
Whatever it is, go ahead.
He had a solid. I mean, he kind of had it rolling. They
Yeah.
you know, they won an NCAA tournament game, and you know they've been getting there. They've gotten talent. But now, you know, you're seeing they've still got talent, but it's just hard. Each offseason, you have to reset, especially in basketball, when all these kids, it feels like it's more intense in basketball. But would y'all agree that coaches, even the great coaches, Calipari this year, you know, he's got all the talent in the world, and he's still a great coach. Pitino has had struggles with his team this year, just kind of corralling all the talent they have. Rick Barnes might be an exception this year, but it feels like even the great coaches, even in football, are having trouble just kind of corralling their team and you know, building chemistry with a ton of talent. But you've also got NIL, so it's hard. I feel like it's harder to control your team.
Well, let me give you a for instance, Billy. Let's say that you find out behind the scenes that I am making 15 times as much as you are.
Yeah.
Producing more than I am.
Yeah.
What happens when that happens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and everybody on a football team is not going to be getting NIL money.
They get
I mean, I don't know what the percentage is. I hadn't looked into that. I don't know what the percentage is, but like, the quarterback, it's like $2 million now for a quarterback, or $1.5 million for a good quarterback. Like, I just don't understand where all this is going to go. I don't know. And then you get a disgruntled kid that doesn't, hey, and George, you're exactly right, because I know from firsthand that there was a kid that I know that was at a school that found out that he was not getting paid as much as a kid, but he was playing more than the other kid. So he went to the coaches pissed off, and they gave him the money. So that that's happening everywhere now. I mean, I'm hearing it's $5,000 to $10,000 for a kid to walk on campus now. And if you look at Memphis,
an appearance fee.
like used to. Well, here's the deal. Yeah, exactly. It's an appearance fee, but here's the deal. Like Memphis and Penny Hardaway, like he could get people because he was Penny Hardaway. Well, now you're getting these kids that do not care who you are. I want money. And if you don't give me enough money, it's just like Memphis. It's just like Middle. It's just like Western Kentucky. You're going to struggle to get good players because you don't have the kind of money that a Texas, that a UT, that a Alabama gets. It's just not going to happen. It's crazy, man.
Here's the next big problem, Billy, that I think is coming in this NIL stuff. So you hear stuff like X school has raised $15 million for football. That's awesome, man. They've got it going. They've got NIL out that you know what. Okay. But what happens when that team goes 7-5 and instead of the Sugar Bowl, it's the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl?
Yeah.
One of the people that gave them some of that $15 million is going to say, listen, we're not doing this every year.
Yeah, Tony's talked about it too. I mean,
there's going to be money fatigue soon.
For these donors and boosters that are already paying bukus of money for whatever it is, season tickets, boxes, suites, events, whatever. And now, hey, can you pay up, like you said, Kelly, maybe $200K for this guy we need? And it's going to come a time where these donors say, screw this.
And then what happens, George, when all this money goes to, say, $20 million goes to UT, but then you look to the basketball, like they're not going to get that much. Like who's going to pay? Like they're going to put all their money and their eggs in the basket of a football team. So where does the money for the rest of the sports go? You know what I'm saying? Like where does that happen?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Each coach is kind of on their own island. I think that's what people forget too. Like it's up to, say, Tennessee, for example, it's up to Tony Vitello to work to get money for his program. Now the AD, has got to, like you said, Kelly, got to divvy that up. But Rick Barnes is doing the same for his. Heupel's doing the same for his. But you're kind of at the mercy of your school, like you said, and the money that is built in.
Well, the coach better have a really good relationship with his former players.
Yeah.
Because that's where you start with it. And by the way, this is one of the areas where Jerry Stackhouse has bombed.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask Jon Albright about that. When he mentioned his, going back to Bobby Knight and walking into Indiana and him hearing about Bobby, whenever an alum would walk into the arena, he would get treated like a king.
Like gold.
And every school should be doing that. And I'm sure most schools are, but it just kind of clicked with me with Stackhouse. And I know we've talked about him ad nauseum. They're kind of beating a dead horse here, but that's what you have to do in this era. If you're not doing that, those alums are saying, all right, I don't even care.
Because that's where you start the process. There's 40 years of former.
And they want to. I mean,
in a lot of cases they do. Now,
and Kelly's a good example at Middle. And Kelly, I don't know how much you've changed your mind about the new hire with Coach Mason. I'm sure you've had conversations. You said you met with him, and I know Coach Mason is doing a good job of trying to recruit mid-state. It's going to be tough, but that's what it takes. You want to, Kelly. You'd love to support Middle, I'm sure, but
absolutely. I mean,
you're not going to support.
Yeah.
It's like it's like our sponsors. If we're putting out a crappy product, they're not going to support us. But it's like you with Middle too, Kelly. If Middle's putting out a 5-7, 6-6 season every year, you're not going to want to give.
No, I'm not going. And you know what? when he said that about Bob Knight, Coach Donnelly was the exact same way. He knew how hard his program was, and if you stuck it out, whether you played or you didn't, at least if you stuck it out, you could call Coach Donnelly. And nobody ever knew that about Coach Donnelly. He would help you with anything in the world. Now, if you were one of them guys that came in for 2 years and then you quit, yeah, there ain't much. There's not much compassion for you. So I wouldn't be asking Coach Donnelly, or I wouldn't be asking the late Bob Knight for that, because you didn't stick his program out. But if you did, they knew how hard their program was, and they knew what kind of person they was, and how hard it took to play for them. They would help you any way in the world.
And Coach Donnelly remembers you if you quit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I heard one, for instance, where a guy came in there and he said he was quitting because he had to go help his mom, and Coach Donnelly didn't know that, but he had to go help his mom pay rent, pay the mortgage. And he patted this kid told me this, but he patted him on the back and he said, "I knew you were a quitter, son. Just go on about your business."
Oh, man.
Okay, after the break, we'll do stat of the day, which I have bombed at recently, and then we will talk to one of the legendary play-by-play voices ever, Eli Gold, University of Alabama no more, but now coming back to Nashville. He was the Predators announcer for a year, and now he will handle Nashville Cats games. My buddy Eli will join us after the break. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Top of the hour on a Monday. We got Eli Gold coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what we've got today. We're going NBA. Domantas Sabonis has recorded a double-double in 38 straight games, which is the longest streak since what player in 2011?
Oh, good Lord.
Wow.
Seems like we've got some crickets.
Yeah, we got a few.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this, Billy? Give Kelly and I some reasonable time to think about it. Not that we're going to get it. But let's go ahead and bring one of the real legends of broadcasting to our microphones. You know, Kelly, when I was growing up, there were 3 in the SEC back in the 70s. 3 legends. Kaywood Ledford at Kentucky, John Ward at Tennessee, Larry Munson at Georgia. My God, a freshman. Sorry. And for a newer generation, when you say, who are the legendary voices in the Southeastern Conference, this was the name at the very top of a lot of them. Now, as a lot of you know, he will not be doing Alabama football anymore, but he will be doing Nashville Cats football. So Birmingham and Tuscaloosa's loss is Nashville's gain. It is an honor, as always, to bring my buddy Eli Gold to our microphones. Eli, how are you?
I am well, George. How are you doing? It's great to be on with you.
Well, it's great to hear your voice. More importantly,
do I get to answer the question about the double doubles?
Oh, absolutely. If you think you know it, do it.
I think I know he had 66 of them over 2 years, and that would be Dwight Howard. Now,
Dwight Howard. That's who I was thinking.
Okay, let's see.
What did
Billy?
we win? What did I win? An autographed picture of George Plaster?
Well, now hold on. Let's see if it's the right answer. Who is it, Billy?
Kevin Love.
Oh,
wow.
Not so fast, my friend. So,
well, you win some, you lose some, and others are rained out.
So, Eli, I have made very clear my feelings about what went on down there, my disgust. I want to make one thing clear, and I know you do too. You did not quit.
No, I did not retire. I did not quit. I did not step down. I did none of the sort. The university chose to make a change. They chose to replace me, and that is certainly their right to do so. I didn't agree with the decision, certainly, but they chose to replace me. I did not step down or retire. I am still working, and as a matter of fact, excited about hooking up with the Nashville Cats. I'll be up in Nashville in a couple of days to start meeting people, and I'm looking forward to it.
So, Eli, oh my God, look, you can't see this, but we've got a picture of you from way back with glasses. I'd never seen him with glasses.
Sure you have.
Have I?
Yeah, you just haven't noticed it. I've worn glasses since I was 5 years old.
Oh, these are big old.
Now,
these are sponsored by Coca-Cola, the ones on this
those,
picture.
Those are the big old Harry Carey kind of glasses, and I haven't worn those in a long time.
Yeah.
But yes, I've worn glasses since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow. So, Eli, people in a reminiscing way would love to hear from one of the closest people around Nick Saban to his level of brilliance. But first, I want you to tell the story you told me once about his love of the musical group, the Eagles.
Oh, he knows every word to every Eagles song. And I forget what the exact circumstance was, but I met the PR guy for the Eagles record label. And I honestly don't remember exactly how that happened, but somewhere And the guy said to me, "You work with Nick Saban, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "He loves the Eagles." I said, "Yeah, he does. He knows all the songs. He listens all the time." Well, I think it was about, a few weeks later, I get a big package at the house, UPS or FedEx, whatever. And it was every Eagles record album, CD, DVD, whatever was out there available. All were autographed by the members of the Eagles, and he asked me to please deliver it. It was in football season, and he asked me to please deliver it. This gentleman did, to the coach. So I walked into the locker room the following Saturday. It happened to be a home game, and I carried the box in, and I walked into his office, and I said, "Beware of men bearing gifts." And I gave him the carton, and he opened it, and it was like a child on Christmas Day. He just could not believe what he had received, and I had to tell him the whole story and yada yada. And he loves the Eagles. He sure does.
Eli, we all know this man was brilliant. And we all, nobody debates anymore based on his track record that he's the greatest coach in college football history. You saw a lot of things behind the scenes. What maybe would we be surprised at to hear that helped make him so brilliant?
Well, I think the brilliance, well, a lot of guys know X's and O's, George, but what made him so special is that he was not afraid to make adjustments when necessary. We all know coaches, and I'm not going to name names, there's no need, but we all know coaches who said, "All right, this is the way we do it. We're going to do it my way or the highway," whether he had the players to pull it off or not. Well, Nick Saban, he would adjust his team's style of play based on the players that he had on his roster. He was not going to try and have an offense where Eli Gold had to run the 1 minute mile. I mean, it wasn't going to happen. He knew that he had to adjust, and he wasn't afraid to do so. How the Blake Sims offense was different from the Coker offense, was different from the McCarron offense, and so on and so forth. And then, obviously, he had the guts to make those changes. Case in point, the halftime adjustment in the national championship game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Not many coaches would have pulled Jalen Hurts in exchange for a true freshman Tua Tagovailoa, and he did. And so it was the ability to adjust, the ability to change, the ability to, look at the circumstances and say, I can't do this. I've got to do this. And not many coaches would do that, but Nick Saban did. So that was the biggest thing that he was able to do.
Eli, shame on me. This should have been the first question that I asked. In particular, Alabama fans know of the health scare you dealt with for over a year. How you doing now?
I am doing wonderfully, George. Thank you for asking. I am healthy as a horse. I'm healthy as a horse. I have been, I'm doing very, very well. I do carry a cane with me because my right leg is still a little bit weak, but I don't use it a lot. Many, many times I'll walk out of the house and my wife, Claudette, will say, "Where's your cane?" I said, it's sitting in the living room. So I've made major strides, but I have gotten much stronger day by day, week by week. And I couldn't be better. All of my tests have come back, negative, nothing wrong whatsoever. So I've really been blessed, George.
Beautiful. Now, what you need to do with this is, and I'm sure Poggi has already thought of this, is to march you out to midfield before the first game with that cane, and then you pull a Harry Carey and throw the thing in the stands.
Yeah. Well, it might be. You never know. Greg Pogue and I have gone back like you. How long have you known Poggi? I've known him for like 30 or 40 years,
40
it seems
years.
like.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to working with him and Jeff Fisher and Dean and the whole organization. But yeah, this is he and I go back a long time, but that would be a great idea. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it certainly would be a good idea.
Okay, Kelly, I don't know if you've ever dealt with Eli before. There's a chance
not
an NFL game of yours at some point. Kelly Holcomb, Eli Gold.
Hello,
Eli. It's such an how you doing? It's such an honor to be talking with you. You're a living broadcasting legend, and then I'm working with George, so that just doesn't. It kind of doesn't add up. But I'm sorry that you've had to deal with George over the years. My apologies.
Penthouse to outhouse. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. That's correct.
Penthouse to outhouse. Yeah. But no, it's great to be on with you. I obviously know of you and have called some of your stuff. And yes, it's great to be on with you guys.
Well, I appreciate it. I just want you to kind of go back to memory lane with me. I mean, you've done Alabama football for so long. What are the games or the situations or the players or the plays that maybe it's probably a longer answer that you want to answer, but just tell me when you think about Alabama football and your years doing it, what are some of the things that stick out to you?
Well, obviously the national championship win over Georgia when, as we talked before, when Tua came in at halftime and replaced Jalen Hurts and then threw it to Devontae Smith for the win. That was huge. Not to upset my Tennessee fans, but the blocked field goal by Terrence Cody, that saved Alabama a win, and as it turned out, a national championship later that year. That was huge. Going into Penn State and shutting down the Nittany Lions with a blocked field goal by Thomas Rayam in the last seconds of regulation to preserve a 1-point win. That one was huge. Goodness. Going into the Rose Bowl Stadium. It wasn't the Rose Bowl game, but the Rose Bowl Stadium when Alabama played and defeated Texas for the national championship. And Marcel Darius, who was a big boy, picked up a Utah shovel pass, did a full 360 pirouette, and carried it into the end zone for a touchdown with about 5 seconds left in the first half. That was huge. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's somebody called me from the Birmingham, well, it used to be the Birmingham News. It's now AL.com. And he wanted me to talk about some of the great players and so on. And I said, how the heck do I come up with a short list from these magnificent players? But, I've seen Sean Alexander at his best and so many others that I've been blessed, man. I have been blessed, and I have seen the greatest wearing crimson and white.
Well, that's the question that I was about to ask you. You look at some of the great memories that you just talked about, but like I know you're calling the game, and I know you're a broadcaster, and you're supposed to be you're not biased, but there's got to be guys, and me being a quarterback, there's got to be some guys that you enjoyed watching play the game.
Oh, sure. I mean, Sean Alexander was one of those who obviously was a great running back at Alabama, went on to lead the National Football League in rushing. And what I also liked from a broadcast standpoint, He was so very articulate and seemed to have a clock built into his head. I would ask Sean sometimes, hey, listen, man, I need a 40-second soundbite about such and such, whatever it was. And, son of a gun, he'd give me 38 spectacular seconds of whatever it was we needed to discuss. So he was outstanding. The quarterbacks that we have seen, including Tua and including A.J. McCarron, then watching, we don't talk much about special teams, but look at this year, in Alabama with the all-time scoring leader, Will Reichard, the all-time scoring leader in the history of the NCAA. I loved watching him, park those field goals from 50, 55, 58 yards and so on. There are just so many that we literally don't have enough time to go through everybody. But, I have been blessed, man. I saw, Nick Saban knew how to recruit, and I was on the receiving end of being able to watch those guys and enjoy everything that they did.
Eli, one of my memories of listening to you, I was driving, I want to say, to the 92 World Series, Braves Toronto. And I'm flipping the dial around looking for a game, and here you come on some station, and you gave out "The Deuce is Loose."
Yes.
Oh,
that was David Palmer.
Yes.
Who used to wear number 2. And the deuce was loose.
Oh my God.
Exactly right.
When I heard "The Deuce is Loose," it gave me chills to hear that.
About David Palmer. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I got a buddy of mine whose name is David Palmer. This has nothing to do, and it's not this David Palmer. Guy is a big overweight, not anymore, Caucasian guy, and ESPN somehow got a hold of his phone number, trying to get a hold of the Deuce, the running back, and David kept saying to the guy, "Look, I'm not that David Palmer." And the guy was really getting ticked off. He goes, "Why won't you do our interview?" And finally, my buddy said, "Listen, if you want to send a satellite truck here, have at it." He said, "But you're going to be terribly disappointed because I'm not that David Palmer." But, but there were some great players that I had the honor of watching and calling their action. It was just spectacular. It really was.
I can't wait for you to get up here, do a little arena football league stuff, but more importantly, go to dinner with some of the friends you have here, because you've built up an impressive list of friends in Nashville over all the years. I can't wait.
I've been blessed. I've told so many people, because this obviously has been a big story here in the state of Alabama, me not being retained. And I said, one thing they'll never be able to take away from me are the friendships and the memories that I have made. I have made so many friends, and not just here, but like you say, in Nashville, just coming up with for games against Vandy, and coming up to do, Predators hockey and so on. I have been blessed, and that will never, ever, ever be taken away from me.
You are a good man. I can't wait to have you on again when you get to town. You've been a terrific friend.
We'll do it.
And I look forward to renewing this friendship.
Amen to that. I look forward to it. And tell your quarterback buddy there, keep up the good work.
Kelly, surely he jests.
Well, you got to say nice stuff. I mean,
absolutely.
Eli, you'll have to pay when you go out to eat with George. He's not going to pay for anything.
Wow.
Neither are we. Well, neither am I. We may end up washing dishes. I don't know.
Oh, that's beautiful. Eli, talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for having me on.
He is one of the all-time greats. Shame on Alabama, but it's Nashville's gain to have him up here a bunch. I'll tell a couple of Eli Gold stories.
Washing dishes.
No, I don't know about that. I've got a great story on him, Kelly, after the break. You will laugh your fanny off. Then we'll get into a little court storming. Then we'll do a little studs and duds. We got a lot more coming. Do not go away.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budgets. Custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
So, Kelly, here might be my very best Eli Gold story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So, Georgia Tech offers me the chance to do their television package. And the TV package is through the old CSS, which got put into retirement by the SEC network.
Cheap sports.
Yeah, CSS, I used to, what was their thing? Your source for complete sports or something. And I changed it to your source for cheap sports. And so when they offered me this position, it really was not, it wasn't great monetarily. And they were haggling with me about hotel and, you're the only announcer that doesn't live in the city that you're doing the games. And I'm like, come on. So, because once I made the decision, I really was kind of excited about it. I'd always wanted to do something in Atlanta. Now, 18 years later, I'll tell you, I don't want to deal with their traffic. But so I call Eli and I said, here's the deal. I said, I really kind of want to do this, but the amount of money that they're offering is not great. And you got to understand, behind the scenes, the guy's got a wicked sense of humor, which is part of how he and I got to be such good friends. And he goes, what are they offering you? And I gave him the number. And you know how he's got this authoritarian voice.
Yeah.
And he rears up into that authoritarian voice and he goes, I would not fart into a microphone for that amount of money.
That's a great line.
Oh, it's there was there's another one with Eli that I remember well. Gosh, it was, I want to say 94. I think that's right. SEC basketball tournament was in Atlanta. And I was working for bankrupt WTN. And earlier that morning, I had sort of accepted a job in Atlanta with the Falcons. Even though deep down I didn't want to leave, our station was in bankruptcy. You never knew when you were going to get paid. It was hard to know that Nashville was going to explode into the sports city that it now is. And so in 94, it was really up in the air. And gosh, I remember he just sat there. He was a great mentor for me. And just, I spilled my guts that day as we're sitting on press row telling him, I don't really want to do this, but I don't feel like I've got any choice. At some point, you have to pay bills. That's one thing I've learned.
And the radio business sometimes is tough doing that.
Sometimes it gets a little goofy. So, good Eli Gold stories. I've got a few more. Someday maybe I'll tell one more of them that is hilarious. Almost as good as, but I love it when he goes into that voice of it. This is Eli Gold. Because he's got that kind of a voice.
He does.
He is Alabama football.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just that's what I was thinking, man. Like, so many legendary broadcasts, but like you think of him as Alabama football now. You talked about those three, but now you think of Eli Gold as that. And I don't know. That's tough, man. I think you need to let him pasture out by himself. I don't know how you do that, but
I think
change.
What should have happened is that the AD should have called him in and said, tell us what you're thinking. What are your plans? Not the other way around. I've really lost some respect for Greg Byrne, the Alabama athletic director, who I know is catching hell. And you know what? Yeah. He should be.
Yep. There aren't too many broadcasters that kind of etch themselves as deeply as he did in that community. I mean, Kelly, you're basically from Alabama, right on the border. But that's
right on the border, absolutely.
Like, kind of that radius or in the South of he was Alabama football. There's others, Georgia with Larry Munson. There's so many around the country, but it's really hard to do what Eli did for as long as he did. And he's versatile too. Motor Racing Network, now the Nashville Cats, hockey.
A great broadcaster.
I mean, that's hard to do too.
I'll also never forget, Kelly, the first SEC broadcasters meeting I ever went to, which was always at the SEC basketball tournament. I'm 23 years old, and I am sitting next to the legendary Kaywood Ledford.
Yeah. Who
I had listened to since I was 8 years old. And he looks over at me and he goes, so what's your story? and I said to him, I said, I've been listening to you since I was 8 years old. And he goes, you had to ruin my day, didn't you?
That's right.
Loved K Wood. Wonderful man. He and Ralph Hacker were an unbelievable team together at Kentucky. And I know I've left out John Ward in this. John Ward was an incredible friend, another guy that I would lean on for advice and always gracious about giving his time. Those were three different legends because Larry Munson, it was a totally different deal because Larry Munson and my dad were big buddies. And so I was never, I don't know if he ever to the day he passed away knew my first name.
Plaster.
Young Plaster. And so, Kelly, the last interview that I ever did with him on the air before he passed away, we've gone through 15, 18 minutes of great stuff with him. And all of a sudden, he rears back into this one and he goes, Young Plaster. He goes, if you'd have listened to me, you'd have made something of your life. And I called Dad during the commercial. I was like, what the hell was that about? And Dad's answer was, Larry wouldn't have said that. He said, Larry wouldn't screw with you if he didn't like you.
Correct.
So
that's what I think about Billy. I wouldn't screw with you if I didn't like you, Billy. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Kelly.
I might go silent on you from now on, though. You know what I'm saying? You're starting to annoy me a little bit.
And telling everybody that you didn't miss him on Fridays has not helped.
That didn't help the cause. No.
Billy, you told everybody that, man?
No, I mean,
I egged it on. I mean,
that's kind of messed up, Billy. Can't believe you didn't miss me.
George, he had to get something out of me.
Here's what else is messed up. This is an issue where we are all very two-faced. I'll admit I love court stormings. I'm not going to deny it. And most of you, if you tell the truth, kind of love seeing it, especially when the little guy all of a sudden, pulls his shooter out and Goliath goes down. But then there is the reality of what happened Saturday, which went too far. And, as I hear all the various talking heads giving their answers to how to fix this, I'm convinced there's not an answer to fixing it. What do y'all think?
I don't know. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about, and I know what happened. And who's to say that a fan is not going to act delinquent when you do something like that? Like if you're having a football, like when Tennessee beat Alabama for the first time in 13, 14, 15 years, I can't remember, but when they storm the field, who's to say that a fan is not going to do something to one of their star players if he doesn't get off the field? I mean, you got to think about that in these days now. You never thought about people being mean like that and evil spirited like that. But man, in today's world, that stuff is happening. And now they're bringing money into the situation. And who's to say that somebody doesn't pay somebody to do something like that? It's just, I don't know. It's just wild. I don't know if there's an answer for it either, George. I don't know how you stop it because they don't have enough security. Like, you're not going to shoot anybody. You're not going to do anything like the security people in the yellow vests and all that stuff. They can only do so much because if you get a whole stadium down there, there's thousands of people. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
Yeah, good luck stopping however many students there were. I mean, that court was covered at Wake. And, we've seen it more recently with Caitlin Clark earlier this year. Whether she flopped or not, she was ran into by a student. Filipowski, the Duke's best player. We'll see, we'll see how he's doing. I mean, I don't know how serious it is.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think he put out there that he thought it was deliberate?
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm Wake Forest athletic department, I'm going frame by frame on that film
Well, yeah.
And if I find that a student has deliberately done something, double secret probation.
I don't know. I don't know that it was deliberate. It did look like Filipowski was kind of ready. You know, he didn't really rush to get off the floor. And now that's not on him. I'm not making an excuse, but he was kind of. It's like he knew what was coming, and he was kind of ready to throw an elbow and kind of defend himself. But he got chipped wherever. I think lower body, kind of got hip checked, and limped off the floor. And of course, we saw what Shire said. This needs to stop. And Jay Billis this morning said that as well. Jay Billis went scorched earth and said that you need to tase these students when on the floor when they're storming the court. Good luck with that. I mean, that's a suggestion. But Kelly, you said it. Good luck stopping these students, especially the bigger student bodies. The SEC I think fines people $100,000. That's not really much.
But the truth of it is, people make a joke out of it, and they're like, "Hey, we're glad to pay it."
Yeah,
because you know what it means. It means you have scored something huge.
I would love to if this is reversed. Duke storms the floor against Carolina.
Have they ever done that? They have.
And one of their students runs into Armando Bacot, and Bacot goes down. What's Shire and Duke saying now? If it's reversed because your star player just got hurt and your season could be ruined. And that's what they're thinking about.
What do I think? Shire seems like a straight arrow. I think he would be mortified by that.
Yeah, maybe he would. But, I mean, like you said, George, there's no way people are like, we got to stop this. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I mean,
these are students.
You remember the scene in Animal House where the guy goes, "All is well, remain calm," and then he gets. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I'll say Wake did not do a good job. Did they have any security out there?
I don't know.
Usually they block off, the bench, and it makes you got to get the Duke players off first. I didn't see any of that. I mean, the students it was an ambush. I didn't see any security.
Yeah. I wish there were a way where we could have the court stormings and you wouldn't ever have to worry about this because they are cool. I mean, that's a big moment for Wake Forest.
Yeah.
That's a team, by the way, they had played Duke really tough at Cameron Indoor a few weeks ago, and they may well make the NCAA tournament. I happened to hear a little bit of the game on radio. My buddy Stan Cotton is Wake Forest play-by-play announcer. And I mean, that's a big moment for that school.
Yep.
And it feels like it's kind of, I'm not going to say gotten tarnished, but it's unfortunate. Let's say that. Let's use the word unfortunate. Okay.
I agree.
Do we go to a final break, or are we going straight to my successes?
We can get right to it.
Yeah, I like that.
Old Placer Bet of the Day, brought to you by
that.
Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened over the weekend. Only 3 plays over the weekend, but you did go 2-1.
Yes.
With the balls and the cats.
That record sucks. God.
You're inching closer, though.
Yeah.
It's better.
So Ole Miss kind of let me down. Ole Miss at home, minus, I want to say, like 3 or 3.5, they got drilled.
Yep.
Now, that's a great win for South Carolina. That sort of rights their ship. But for Ole Miss today, if the season stopped today, I don't think they'd get in.
No, I don't think so. And they got Alabama this week too. So
Dayton would be their best shot right now.
Yeah, and a lot of this is going back to what we were saying earlier this year about Ole Miss and Chris Beard. It's year 1, and they were not very good last year. He's gotten a lot out of them.
Look,
but
he's a terrific coach.
So this isn't anything negative about them. They'll be back, and maybe they do make the tournament. Maybe they get hot here, but it's going to be tough.
Kelly, I'll be back too. 41-47. Good Lord.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you probably will be back.
Nice.
I told you, anybody that knows the street on the Strip in Vegas, yeah, you know what you're doing, big dog.
Industrial
Now you got to show
Boulevard.
it. You got to show it. You got to show it, though.
Okay.
You got to step up and show it.
This one that I'm going with tonight, Monday night, very slim pickings. Only about 3 games involving, major schools.
And it's Big 12.
We get a lot of
Monday.
Quinnipiac and, and Lehigh and
Incarnate
Holy
Word.
Cross.
yes, and American Samoa. Okay, so let's put this one up there, and then I'll try to explain where I'm going with this. Baylor is the better team. Not by a ton, but Baylor is the better team. Now, the game is at TCU in Fort Worth. Baylor expended a ton of emotional whatever Saturday in their loss to Houston, which was maybe the game of the day in college basketball. Terrific game. And they came very close to winning it in regulation, and then Houston beat them in overtime. I kind of think I'll be very interested to see Baylor have a letdown tonight, because if they do, TCU's pretty damn good.
They are.
That's my story, and Kelly, for now,
sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Baylor's
Just
the better
one?
team, but
just one.
Well, I mean,
Just
what
one
did you
game?
want me to put up there?
I wanted you to
American
pick
Samoa
I wanted
versus
you to
Cuba?
pick like I wanted you to pick like Quinnipiac against Ohio, something like that. I mean, I thought you would do something like that. Like,
let me ask you
venture
this.
out a little bit.
Is
Drexel and Delaware.
Is that the way you say? Is it Quinnipiac?
Quinnipiac.
I have
What?
no Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac?
Quinnipiac. Okay.
That doesn't sound
Or
right.
Quinnipiac.
I don't know.
Here are some of the games that I could have chosen tonight. Okay. Incarnate Word against Nichols. Nichols is the home team. Let's see what else here. Here's a good one. Coppin State against Howard.
Okay.
Okay.
Billy, where's Coppin State at? Do you know?
Coppin State is in Kentucky.
Baltimore.
Oh, it is.
I don't know, isn't it?
I have
Where
no
is it?
clue. I was just asking. Because I have no clue. I figured Billy would know since Billy went to.
Coppin State is in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. There you go.
Hey, how about this one?
That should be worth a trivia.
How about this one? Prairie View A&M at Mississippi Valley State. Mississippi Valley State is 0-27 overall and 0-14 in conference.
Then we're going with Prairie View.
They're favored by 9.5.
George, see, you got to divvy through all that, big dog.
By the way, if you want my studs and duds, since I skipped it, you ready?
Yeah. What?
I know. We got into the announcers.
I spent 20 minutes on those graphics.
Lighten up.
Come on, Billy.
That's a fine on George's part, right, Kelly?
I agree. Absolutely. See, no.
Okay.
Put it up, Billy. Let's see it.
Yeah, give them. Let's go. Here are the studs. Kentucky, you score 117, you're a stud. I didn't get that on my SAT. South Carolina, it hurt me, but very impressive. Anybody see Klay Thompson last night? I'm a Klay Thompson fan. He's still a stud.
23 points off the bench?
In the second quarter alone. Fourth, Tennessee. What else? I mean, they won by 35.
Little revenge.
Okay. Congratulations to Missouri. What a nice year you're having.
Yeah.
New Mexico lost to Air Force at home.
I didn't know Air Force had a basketball team.
Me neither.
They do, barely. And then there's Fresno State. Got beat by 33 by San Diego State. And then court storming.
No. Okay, so we covered most of it.
They're the studs and duds. You know what? Who cares?
No.
Is the world any better for having seen that? No. No, they're not. Tomorrow on this very show, Terry McCormick will join us live from Indianapolis, where the NFL Combine is going on, and there's a lot of beer drinking going on.
A lot of beer drinking
nighttime.
at San Elmo's, that's for sure.
Yes. Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville. We'll talk about Tennessee and Virginia's win over the NCAA. What does it mean? Who knows?
Who knows?
Shocking. Who cares?
Really?
Nice attitude. And then Taylor Barnett will join us during the 3 o'clock hour, and we will ask the question, is there some common denominator to when Kentucky kills it or when they get torched a little bit? Is there something there that certain teams match up better with them than others? All of that tomorrow on the award-winning George Plaster Show. What award? None that I'm aware of. See you tomorrow.
Yo.